What's up, everybody? You reach everybody, JUJU to where I'll be right back. If it keeps doing that, leave and come back today. I'm doing a lot of y'all watching that SEC action. I know I was. Later on, I'll be up to do the Big Ten action to see the game with USC, University of Washington Huskies. USC is currently, they have traveled to University of Washington for their follow-up after the big, huge win against UCLA. Because of that wonderful game, I wanted to bring up someone that is really, really, really good, close friend of mine. Known him for half my life. He like a brother, like a family member to me. But so in this segment is especially for the girl dads. And so I'm just really excited to do a show about girl dads and so on and so forth. Let me come out, guys. Don't leave. Stay where you are. I'll be right back. I want to start my stream where I don't want this to be messed up. Hang. Yeah. Okay, I'm back. I'm back like I never left. Okay, y'all, bear with us now. You know how this technology is and weather. So, as I was saying, because we're playing the University of Washington, I thought about some of the University of Washington football players that I know and I know very well. And I know one that's my guest today, who all the greatest accomplishments that he's had in football and in pro football, college football, youth football, probably you name it. He's won a lot of awards. I know that he's been nominated for the Heisman Trophy. He's been the Pac-10 Player of the Year, in the Rose Bowl, just been in the big moments. And he's just huge University of Husky campus as an announcer, color commentary, he said, and what you say, playback, things like that. I'm gonna let him do all that explaining, but I think his greatest role, one of his best positions and roles in life, is being a father to two girls. I don't know, Greg, if you have more girls, you can let me know. I know you got two for sure. And girl dads are just a thing. With the rise of women's sports and the rise of just the attention that the women are garnishing, especially basketball and in hoops. I can say that before it was popular, or before Kobe did a thing, be a girl dad, Greg was one of my champions. He and I played. I mean, not only can he play football, but the man can play basketball. I mean, I just never seen. I always talk about clumsy football players. When I got on the court with him, man, and I think that could have been a second sport for him. And so he seen me, not college days, but afterwards. And so we played hoop together, and he was always very encouraging. He's very loving towards women. He's a spiritual man, spiritual leader, but a great man just in general. So without further ado, I just want to introduce to you Greg Lewis of the University of Huskies and NFL Broncos team. Bring it to the stage, my brother. How you been? What's happening?
I'm good. Thanks for all that introduction and all those kind words. I
don't think I did it justice.
Oh, no. It's all good. I'm on here with the original JUJU. So I'm excited to be on today and have a chance to chop it up with you a little bit. But you said a lot there. I will say, though, you got the essence. And one thing you did say that is for certain and for sure is being a dad, and a girl dad in particular, is one of the most important, things in my life. And you're right. I have two beautiful daughters, but I was blessed later in life and got married, and I inherited two more. And so I had the opportunity to at least put life into four young ladies, not taking nothing away from their original and biological father, but I was allowed to pour a lot into them as a stepdad and as a coach, because I coached both of them in basketball as well as I did my own two. Yeah. And that's really what brought me and their mom together. I was coaching. I've coached girls basketball for about 25 years, which has been a joy for me. And I say I retire, but maybe I'm just on sabbatical because I have some granddaughters coming down the pipeline that look like they're going to play too. But I've been out of it for about 5 years. But when I was coaching, coached young ladies for 20 plus years. And in my last couple of years, I actually met my wife, and she had two daughters. One of them was playing in our program. And after that season was over, we ended up, just kind of hanging out and got an opportunity to be, like I said, involved with two more young ladies. So being a girl dad certainly been exciting for me.
I don't know if you remember, I was at your house in Seattle when I came to visit, and you, Duck, Donnie Jones, all Huskies, a pro football player. Y'all took me, I think in Arlene was with us. You took me all around Seattle. I think they were building Bill Gates's home. I don't know where that beautiful water was, but I remember that I got some Harold chicken, and I was like, damn, I was like, oh my God, like, I think I'm gonna live here, because I was already used to the gloom of the weather from coming from the Bay. But you wanted me so badly to see your daughter. I mean, dribble the ball. Like, she could have been like 5 years old, you know what she was, right? But this happened to me a lot, right? He's like, Jude, this is what you see. Like, tell me what you think. Because, as athletes, how we can look at people when they're young, and you could just, like, hey, they got something. You got something. And so I took her outside, and we was just playing around. She took that ball. She was boom, 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 doing her little thing. But I walked back in like, oh my God, okay, yeah, she can play. Do something with her.
Absolutely.
Do something with her. And find out that later you did. Wow, amazing.
Yeah, I was fortunate that all four of my girls played college basketball at some level. Some D1, some D2, just a mixture of, but they all got an opportunity to get an education because of the sport of basketball. And, as a former student athlete myself, just like you, that sometimes for us in our community, that athletic scholarship can be the ticket that really opens up a lot of doors for us. And, my kids probably would have been able to go to college either way, but I know for me, it was the ticket that opened the door. And because of that, that allowed me to be in a position to be able to, if I had to pay for my kids to go to college, to do so. But fortunately,
Right.
they saved me a little bit of money by being able to get that scholarship. And it was great following them. And now that my kids are all out of college, I get to sit back, relax, and just watch all these great, this era of women's basketball right now is phenomenal. There's so many great players, not just in the WNBA, but if you look, especially the sophomore class, the sophomore and the junior class.
That's my favorite class.
Ooh,
yeah.
Wee.
That's my favorite class. The 26 class is going to be coming out. Yeah. And the class of 27 are my favorite classes. Probably 27 for sure. And Jordan, you know why?
Yes.
I'm not saying that, Lord. I'm wearing that. I got the name.
Tell her to take it easy on us today. Tell her to take it easy on the Huskies today. Actually, the Huskies have a young lady on the team. Actually, their leading scorer, her name is Delia Daniels, and she played with my youngest in high school. They were teammates in high school. They went all the way to the state championship game and lost in the final game at the state tournament. So had some success. Didn't quite get over the hump. Out of my 4 daughters, one won a state championship. The other 3 all lost in the championship game. So, and my daughter who did win did come in second the year before, so lost, came in second, then won, and then the other 3, all came in second as well. So we had a little bit of success, but we only got to get that ring one time.
No, that's huge. You don't always get. Juju got just 1 ring, and her teammate Kennedy Smith out of Etta Wander beat her in the semis, broke her heart. Probably I think the toughest thing she said that she had is, she hasn't lost very much, but I think that got to her. And to have them both on the team is amazing. But even Cynthia Cooper, she won once with Locke. Cheryl Miller, she won once. That state meet is California. We call it California tournament champs. We call it, but the win in California for one is very huge. We're a large state, but to win in any state is like amazing to get there. Just the road to get to say that I was a state champion. And I love what you said about like for me, I didn't have the pros to shoot. We had Anita Ortega on, who I told her I saw her play for the San Francisco Pioneers, and then she later went for like a second to the Minnesota something, she told me. But basically it was like you go overseas or it's like that's what we had a choice to do. But for you now, when you played, first let me ask you a question. When did you fall in love with the game of football? Because you seem like you played all other sports.
Yeah. I can probably when I was 7 years old, we moved to Seattle when I was about 5 from Florida, and we lived across the street from this big play field. And I remember, going and, running around in the gym. There was a gym there too. And then when the summertime came around, I looked out the window one day and there was a whole bunch of kids out there running around. So I went to go see what was going on, and it was football signups. And so I asked my mom, could I play? And she was like, sure, and signed me up for football. And I think you had like about 3 or 4 days after the sign up where you had to go get all your equipment so that you can play. And we just could not afford that year to purchase all the things that were necessary to play, primarily a football helmet. I think I got everything from like the thrift store. I got some shoulder pads that cost about $3, some hand-me-down cleats, and got everything I needed. But that helmet was kind of expensive. And so that I didn't get to play that year. And I had the whole year, every Saturday when the other kids were playing, I would go down and I would like hold the chains or do something, but I wasn't able to play because just couldn't afford it. And I think that year not being able to play made me want it so bad that something, got in me about football. And so the next year I actually got same situation, but someone heard about what happened to me the year before, and they donated an old helmet. It wasn't even the kind with pads and stuff. It was a suspension helmet that didn't have any pads in it, but it was good enough to allow me to play. And that year we went out and we won the city championship for Little League football. And I was voted one of the best players, not at running back, which is what ultimately became my position, but actually, ironically, as an offensive lineman, I was voted as the best offensive lineman in the league that year.
That's what I'm gonna say. Were you bigger than the guys? Were you bigger than the most?
So what happened is the league that I played in, it wasn't just by age or grade, it was also by weight. And so after my first year, I played 89ers. I was 8 years old. I played on the team called 89ers. Then the next year I had to jump up 2 teams because I started growing, and I actually played with kids 2 to 3 years older than me for the rest of my Little League football career. So I always had to play with the older guys. And the one thing about when you're younger, your speed may not be as developed and your skills as developed as some of the older kids just yet until you hit like that high school age. So I was always one of the better, linebackers, offensive line, defensive line kind of guy. I was just real physical, real strong, and real aggressive. That was just my natural. But I went in that championship and being on that team and getting voted the best of something, it just, Julie, it gave me all the confidence in the world. I had moved from northern Florida where my language and my ability to speak was really bad, and the kids would tease me about that. But that gave me confidence. And then because of that confidence I got there, I started to excel in school and everything. So football really was the thing that springboarded me to a lot of success in life apart from just on the football field. So yeah, I fell in love with it. I grew up, I played basketball, I played baseball, loved both of those. One year I ran track, but then I figured out that's just too much running. So I didn't think like that. But football, basketball, and baseball, I played all the way through, all my young years. And when I got to high school, ironically, I did go back over to track instead of baseball because it was good to help develop my speed. Because when I got to high school, I looked around, I wasn't 6'5", 300 pounds. So I was like, I guess my lineman days are over, and I was a running back. And so I had to build up my speed. But I was certainly tough enough at the time, and no one could tackle me. I mean, I was just used to being in the trenches and, hitting, bigger guys. And so I was tough, and no one could bring me down. I worked on my speed. So I played basketball in high school. By my senior year, I was an all-metro or all-league player. The league I played in was Seattle Metro. So I was all-league player. I was the leading rebounder at 6 foot, just a smidge under maybe 6 foot. But I was about 210 pounds of all muscle, and I could jump out the gym. So there might be some guys who said I fouled a little bit, but that's okay.
What high school did you go to in Seattle?
So I went to Ingram High School, which was definitely a football school. I got bussed out of my neighborhood in Seattle. They were trying to desegregate the schools because Seattle, just like a lot of major metropolitan areas, all the blacks live on one side of town, and white people lived on the other side of town and around the black people on our side of town. The nicer parts. But I got bussed all the way out to the north end, which for me ended up being okay because they had a really good football team. And we are the last Seattle public school when I was there to win the state football championship. Not one Seattle public school has won the state football championship since 1987. So it's been a long time. Yeah, the Seattle public schools just aren't funded well. And nowadays the private schools will come in, recruit the kids from the inner city where I live and take them out to the suburbs and play in their big schools like they do in California. So we're the last, and we probably will be the last. But our basketball team was just.
I just had that conversation. I just had that conversation about public and private with a friend of mine, and she was feeling like, well, I don't know if, from what I was understanding, I was like, do you not know that why private is better? But you just broke it down and say they come and they recruit you out of your neighborhood, pretty much. Because look at JUJU, she's in inner city Watts. How did she went to Windward, public, and then for 2, and the team that she was going to have to keep battling with was Sierra Canyon. She ended up on Sierra Canyon, where obviously Ronnie and the Kardashians and everybody. It's a private school, and behind her comes Kennedy Smith, and I was saying that Kennedy Smith, got the same awards as Ju, but she's out of a public school in Rancho Cucamonga area, and she's one of the few or last coming out of a public school. Diana Taurasi's public school, like it goes, but everyone else is kind of like coming out of a private.
Yeah,
and I can relate. I went to public as well, obviously, but I had a lot of St. Francis's and Archbishop's and, you know, all these schools around me that come from San Jose all the way to maybe, I wouldn't say South San Francisco, but below a little bit San Francisco. That's the Central Coast section. So
right.
When you came out of high school, did you get a lot of scholarship offers?
Yeah, I was one of the top recruited athletes out of the state of Washington. I had football offers to play, but primarily there was only 3 schools that offered me the opportunity to play on the offensive side of the ball. Because in high school, you know, you play both ways. So I played offense and defense. So I got a sniff from USC. They were looking at me as a safety, but of course, you know, they had a bunch of guys they were looking at. UCLA, same thing, as a safety. But the 3 schools that I zoned in on were really 2. I'm not going to lie and say 3, but really 2 was Washington and Stanford. They were the 2 that were recruiting me as an offensive player that I had a lot of interest in. And of course, you know, I have a black mama, and she was like, my baby's going to Stanford. And she was going to make her baby go to Stanford. He got accepted. And back in those, you know, you had to go through the whole application process in order to get into Stanford, and then they'll give you your final offer of scholarship. At least that's how it was back in 1986 and 87. Yeah. And so I went through the process, and Mom was going to make me go there. Now, to be honest with you, I didn't want to go to Stanford because they were not very good at the time in football. Jack Elway, John, who I ended up playing with the Broncos, his dad was the head coach, and they had just had a really, really good running back named Brad Muster, who had graduated and went on to play for the Chicago Bears, I believe it was. And they were telling me, you're going to be the next Brad Muster. You're going to be a, you know, all conference player. And I guess, you know, I had a real black mom. So that's where I was going. Where she said you going, that's where you're going. And so I didn't want to go there, but that was what was going to happen. But late in the recruiting process, my mom met this African-American lady named Gertrude Peoples. Now, I'm going to tell a little bit of a story here, and I hope it doesn't bore folks, but Gertrude Peoples was the first person in the country to actually start a program for academics for student athletes in the athletic department. So she started student athlete academic services in the late 60s, early 70s, and particularly because there were a lot of racial issues with the University of Washington football program before Don James got there under a head coach named Jim Owens. So she was hired to help with the black student athletes. And one of the things that she honed in on was starting a support for academics. And so she started the first student athlete academic services in an athletic department in the country at the University of Washington. Well, my mom met her on my recruiting visit, and she told my mom that, you know, I understand why you want your son to go to Stanford, great academic schools, and he's a good student. She says, I will share this with you, though. She told her a little bit about the history and what she had done and what the athletic department would do to support student athletes. She said, if he goes to Washington as a hometown kid and meets a lot of people, and eventually one day he may want to live back in Seattle, I promise you he'll get his degree. He'll do everything right, and he'll have every opportunity that life can afford him if he comes here and becomes a Husky. And so although my mom still wanted me to go to Stanford, she at least said, I'll let him have his decision because I trust this woman, Gertrude Peoples. And so, of course, when she gave me the opportunity to choose, I was a Husky 100%. And so, yeah, I got recruited by Arizona State and, you know, the rest of the Pac-10 primarily. But it was down to Stanford and Washington for me right from the start. And, you know, fortunately, I was able to become a Husky. And the rest, as they say, is history.
Rest is history. I want to see if I'm going to check my comments. Your brother Gene is in here. He said, "What up, fam? Go Dogs."
Gene Harris, that's my guy right there. Gene
Yeah.
played in
Gene.
that same little league football program that I played in, and then we ended up, we went to the same high school for one day. But I always tease him. I think Gene left our high school because I went to when he came, I was there and I played running back, and he figured out how I have to stand behind this guy for 3 years, so he left and went somewhere else.
Okay. Hold up. Gene. That's you right there. That's you. There's a stream right there where it says every little JUJU. You click on that, you come backstage. I'm only hearing Greg's side of it. So if you want to defend yourself, because let me tell you, if one of my homies came up here saying something that happened with us in high school or college, you better bring me up here, because I'm gonna tell you how it happened, really happened, and some stuff that I did to you when we played.
And what's ironic,
if you want to, you hit that.
Yeah. And what's ironic, when we were in little league football, like I was saying, Eugene was the star. You know, he played on the younger teams than me because I was a lot bigger. But on his teams, he was a superstar. Everybody was waiting for Eugene to get to high school because he was a phenomenal athlete.
He said he was skinny. Yeah, he was phenomenal track, right? In football.
Yeah. He was a fantastic high school football player too. Like I said, he got that opportunity because he left Ingram, because if he'd have stayed at Ingram, he would only play the senior year.
Speak on it. It is what it is. It is what it is. You got to compete. That's what I love about the sport right now when I'm watching college hoops or even the WNBA. Something Magic told the rookies, Cam and Rakid, is go on, take one of the best spots.
Yeah,
you know, Magic. That's what you do. You don't. Some coaches in our day, Greg. I'm a little bit older. You gotta ride the bench. You gotta earn your way to get the starting time, or or unless you were the number one recruiter or whatever, you gotta earn your nah. It's cool, Jay. He don't care if you come up here. He said let you have a moment. But you like I said, you gotta earn your spot. Gene don't want nothing. Nah. I remember Gene, again, when we played ball on the court and stuff like that, just being athletic and very all of you guys were talented. Tell me about the guys that went pro on the UW team, and what you guys accomplished together at University of Washington.
There was like a 3-year stretch there where the University of Washington was the best football program in the country. And it was built out of a few things. Obviously, hard work is the main ingredient in anything. If you don't work hard, if you don't put in the time, you don't put in the effort, you're not going to get, the results that you want. And we were certainly a hard-working group, but we also had a camaraderie that was forged out of a spiritual connection. You know what I mean? We was all brothers, for real. You hear teams and people saying that we're like brothers, but we was brothers for real. We had this spiritual connection that had a foundation. A lot of us, were believers in Christ. And certainly that was what brought us together. But it was just all of those principles, though, of doing it for your brother, doing it for somebody else, the other person being more important than you loving that other person just as much as you love yourself. So you didn't want to let him down. You didn't want to let your teammates down. You didn't want to not show up and do your job. You had a higher purpose than just winning for yourself. And when people get on that vibe, I mean, there's not really a whole lot that can stop them. We had the talent. We had, players from all over the place. I mean, one of my best friends in the world is Donald Jones. He came from a little country town called Gladys, Virginia. Then Charles Mincy, who was from Los Angeles, myself from Seattle. We had guys on the team from Oregon. We had a guy named William Doctor from Texas. We had players from everywhere. And so we had the talent, but when you took that hard work, that determination, and then those principles of, placing others before yourself and having a higher call and purpose, man, there was nothing that could stop us. And the University of Washington as a whole went to 3 straight Rose Bowls where we just dominated the Pac-10. I didn't play in all 3 because I graduated after the first one, but we went and actually we should have 2 straight national championships during that time. But my senior year, it was the next to last game of the season, and we played the UCLA Bruins. And in the first quarter, I tore my ACL, and so ended up and it wasn't just because of the game that they played better than us, but that whole day it seemed like everybody was more worried about me and my injury than what was going on out on the field. And I'm trying to encourage them, you guys don't worry about me. I'm going to be all right. You guys just focus on the game. But unfortunately, we ended up losing by 3 points that day for our only loss in the Pac-10 that year. So we ended up winning the Rose Bowl and coming in like 4th in the country, I believe. And then the next year, Don Jones was still there. Eugene, who won't come on, was there. And they were able to win the entire thing, the whole national championship. And then the next year, they went 9-0 until some bogus, reports come out about us, cheating or something like that, which never ended up being founded. But it just cost them, that it became a distraction, and it cost them one of their best players. As a matter of fact, their quarterback had to miss a game or 2, and they ended up having a late season loss. But we were on a dominant run through 3 years where we almost went undefeated for 3 straight years. And we did dominate the Pac-10 or Pac-12.
Said, wait a minute.
What's that?
Your quarterback went pro. What's his name?
So there was 2 quarterbacks during that time. And it's because what happened was
quarterback. Okay, great.
What's that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was saying, who was that what's your quarterback's name?
Well, there was 2 of them that played during that era. One was Mark Brunell. He was a starter my senior year. We won the Rose Bowl with him. He was pegged to come back and have a great season the next year. But in a freak practice accident, he got his knee blown out that spring. And so a guy named Billy Joe Hobart actually started the next year when they won a national championship and went undefeated. And he was a starter again into that next season until the whole controversy came up. And then Mark Brunell ended up being the starting quarterback again for the rest of that year and then the next year. So we had 2 guys, and they both ended up playing in the NFL. Mark had a much more successful career. He played about 15, 16 years, primarily with the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Green Bay Packers. But it was Mark Brunell and Billy Joe Hobart. But Billy Joe actually was the starter on the national championship team. And I think Don is the one who hurt Mark Brunell.
I mean,
my buddy Don Jones
tackled him
and blew his knee out.
Blew his knee out. Oh my gosh! And I cannot believe that you guys went to. Did you say you went to the Pac-10 championship 3 years or? What is it? Rose Bowl 3 years in a row.
Rose Bowl 3 years in a row and lost. 1 or 2 Pac-10 games during that whole stretch. I mean, we just dominated the conference. Just dominated. And that was the reason why that whole probation thing came out.
I don't think I've seen a team, whatever you want to say. It hasn't been since you guys.
Yeah. I think USC when they had Reggie Bush.
If I'm not mistaken,
USC. Yeah, USC when they had Reggie Bush and Pete Carroll. That was about the only other time there was a really dominant Pac-12 team after us.
Mm-hmm. After you guys. Yeah, I remember. And what about Oregon? Didn't Oregon have a little run in there?
Oregon has definitely had a run, but you will be hard pressed to ever get me to say anything positive or nice about the Oregon Ducks. I don't even like the color green because of Oregon. They're fierce rivals with us, and I, there's something to be said about respecting people who do it the right way. And you can say what you want. People can call me, bitter or whatever. But Oregon, everything they've done has been under the table, money exchanging hands, buying players, paying kids before you could pay them, paying kids before you could pay them. Right. And they still have never won anything significant. They won a couple Pac-10 titles and all that. They've never won a national championship. What we say in Washington is that O on their helmet is really a 0, which stands for the number of national championships they won. even though they pay very handsomely. I didn't lose you, did I?
Boosters, now they have collectors, we have GMs, and we have the NIL. What's your thoughts on NIL? And do you think that you would have been obviously?
Well, I'll say this. My first thing I'll say about NIL is I wish it was around when I was playing. And I think me and Don James would have had to have a real heart-to-heart conversation going into my senior year about compensation and what can we do in order to get my numbers. I think based on what guys are getting today, I certainly would have been a guy who would have been able to not even necessarily go to the NFL and become a millionaire, because I know what some of these kids are making right now, being involved a little bit. I know our quarterback last year was, in the seven figures.
Yeah.
And I certainly believe that I would have asked for seven figures myself going into that senior year. And as much as I love the University of Washington, love the program, I think now there's that side to it that is a business, and these kids have to take care of their business. One thing they always tell you is that only 1% of you college players are going to ever play in the NFL or play professional sports. So that means the other 99% of you better get your money in college if you can get it, because most of you aren't going to play in the NFL and make money. So I think it's great that the kids can make money. I do think there's more regulation and things that need to be brought to it, because right now, because they're not employees, they're student athletes, there aren't real contracts that are signed with NIL money that are enforceable. So I think that you have to come with a way to enforce, if you're going to get this signed for this money, that there's a term that is tied to it, that you're going to be here for such and such amount of time. Because even with the coaches, I know a lot of people say, well, coaches leave all the time, but most of them have a buyout in their contract. So when they leave, they have to pay the buyout. No, normally the other team pays it. So let's do that. If Oregon wants to steal me away from the Huskies, then Oregon's got to pay my buyout to the UW, and then I go there. So I just think there's more rules that need to go around how we do all this now. But I'm certainly in favor of the players being able to move and the players being able to get paid. I just know as a fan, it's hard learning a brand new, as an announcer, it seems like every year I got to learn about 20 new kids because we lose 20 or 25 to the transfer portal. And then we got 20 or 25 new coming in. So it's tough on the fans because you don't get to just grow up with your player and see that player go from a kid to an adult right in front of you and have long-term, relationship with them. And nowadays, I think one of the things I proposed to our athletic director at the University of Washington is they should come out with a Legends series of jerseys, because those are the players that the fans got to root for 4 years. These kids nowadays, you get them 1 or 2 and then they're gone. So, those good old days aren't coming back. So we can wish for them all we want. But I do hope that there are some more rules put in so that players don't move as much as they're moving right now.
I think you're right, and I think you're right, and I think some rules are going to be changing here and there. But I think it's been a long time since I've come in, because I always felt what I was doing was a job, and you can only practice 2 hours on the court, but there was so much outside of that 2 hours that they took their time with. And I'm like 4 hours of my day. And then, as you mentioned, student athletes. So I'm going to go into this question from DeWitt. It's a great question. He said, "Hi, Ju, how are you? I'm great. I have a question for both you and Greg. Do and did coaches have conversations with players who aren't going to make it and push them towards and other options?"
I'll say this.
Ones that don't make pro.
Yeah, I'll say this. The college program that I was a part of and what I've seen is they tell you right from the jump when they're recruiting you that we're going to coach you up. We're going to try to get you to the NFL. But there's 99% of you won't make it. And there's a reality. So when you're here to be a student as well, to get your degree, to make sure that you have other options in life, to make sure that you have other opportunities in life. And, some people in their mind go, yeah, whatever, I'm going to the league. And you can't tell them no different. And some people are, take it seriously and are a little more, easily, led and making sure that they have these other options. And so I know, at least at the University of Washington when I was there, and since I've been a part of the broadcast programs, we have graduated more student athletes, especially football players, than any of the other teams, even including Berkeley and Stanford. I mean, the percentage of student athletes that they have this thing now called academic index, and each school gets graded on it every year. And up until 2 years ago, we had the highest for 10 years in a row. So you can graduate if you go there with that intent on graduating. Yes, it's tough. And you're going to be tired and you're going to have to work. You're going to have to, dig in. You're going to have to grit and grind and do all of that. But, that's how I was brought up. I don't know any other way. So, that was something that was important to my mom. As I said, she wanted me to go to Stanford anyway. So if I didn't get my degree, that lady probably would have never forgiven me. So made it happen. And our coaches were just as our coaches definitely wanted us to have those opportunities and make sure that we graduated. I can't speak for every program. I can only speak for the ones that I know.
I can't speak for every program, and I can't, and I won't, because I know that the answer is no. That wasn't always the case at certain universities, and they weren't successful. They didn't last. They ended up, like, I had some friends go D1 that dropped to D2, or they felt like, I'm here to coach you, what you do on the outside. Now, mind you, we have an academic advisor, don't trip. He does come in and certain part of the season before basketball starts, he tells you whether you were eligible or not. And when he walks into the room, someone's sweating bullets. I don't know why, because you already know what you did and you didn't. And then I know sometimes for the basketball players, women, they in the spring is when they get caught up, because there's no games anymore after, if you were lucky to go to postseason, and they was so. But that's summer, so you have summer to make up your classes and to roll right into the spring. But I had track, so for me it was just constant. Like I had to be on top of it. And then, like your mom, my mom was the same way. The degree that I got, and when I got it, I handed it to her as promised. She still has it. So proud to open it up. I get the copy of it to send it work, job. But she had the real thing, and it was a promise that I made her. Let me do this. Let me do this. Let me do this. And because I come in the era when all of it was new, but our situation, women were in my day, were different, and it still partially is, because the opportunities that you as men had, we didn't have. So the next best thing was for you to finish your degree. Not all the time did they do that, which I could never understand. Like, you let them wear you out, your body, take it, take your ability and your talent, give you the opportunity to get an academic degree, and you don't, and you blow it, and then years later, here you are in your late 20s and your 30s, and you're like, I'm going to finish my degree. Well, you should have did that then. Anyway. Yeah. I got a brother, my other brother here I want to introduce. He's MJ Lover. That's his YouTube name. He said, "What up, though?" I'm gonna tell you his name down there. He said, "Mr. Greg Lewis. This is Clint Lomax, class of 1989, Garfield High School. What up, though?" You can join the stream, MJ. I told you already. What up? If you want, hit that stream if you want to. Do you know Clint Lomax? Because all he talk about is Seattle. All he is excited. I don't, man. I said, well, do you know Greg? Do you know Chuck? Do you know Donnie? Do you know Eugene? Like, breaking it down, like, and he's like, I think so. I think I know those guys, those cats. I said, Garfield sounds familiar because I don't know where James Christopher said it. That's basketball. And he's the basketball. He's the basketball man.
Man, they are. Hey, Clint Lomax could hoop too. I don't know if he talks about hoop, but Clint Lomax could hoop. He tells me all the time. But now that you're telling me, I'm gonna believe. Okay, MJ, we get into heated conversations and on Tech Talk Sports, and then we have a Discord, and me and him. But I listen to him though, because I'm like, okay, he's played some ball. I can hear it. But you just said he could hoop, huh? Oh man, Garfield used to beat up on us in basketball every single year They won state my junior and senior year. Actually, they won state the year before I went to high school, missed it for 2. Then they won a couple more and was always in the, the final running for the state championship. I played varsity basketball for 3 years, and we played Garfield probably 8 times, and we beat them once at Garfield my sophomore year. It was a fluke too. We actually won by like 11. So that's my biggest basketball moment of my whole basketball career, was the one time we upset Garfield at Garfield. It was a fun game. But yeah, no, Garfield, they get down and hoop. They got lots of guys.
He tells me all the time, and I'm gonna bring him up here. He hasn't been on camera lately, but I'm gonna bring him up on stage. Y'all can talk, because this man right here, I'm gonna just kill him, because now he done tell me about his school and over and over. So go ahead, MJ. Go ahead.
What up, though?
That's what's going
I ain't
on.
seen this man. You don't even understand. I ain't seen this man in like 30 years. 30 years. What's up, man? How you been?
I've been good, man. I've been good. I'm just up here living the Seattle life,
Oh yeah, I've been seeing you doing good things, man. I shout out to you, salute to you, appreciate you giving back to the community, man. I mean, we stay. The best thing about social media is that even if we're not home, we can still be home with some of our people. They keep us up to date. Bill Ellaby, Terrell Elmore, Brian Stewart, Fred Hardwell. I mean, we can go down the list of all the cats. That try to keep the CD the way the CD was, man. And I got to give shout out. I know it's Juju talk about you all the time too, and I'll be like, dude, I'm telling you, we didn't run in the same circles. I know that man. Ingram used to drag us every single year. There's nothing we could do with that dude, man. He came up into our school in '87. It was just lip smacking. Had everybody
you remember that?
in the hall. You guys don't even understand, man. We go way back. It was all love, though.
He was telling on you. He was telling on you. He was telling on you, Greg. He said when he said you came up with the sword. Oh God! I said that's pre.
Oh man, he almost caused it riot.
Almost caused it riot.
Yeah.
Oh Lord!
I tell you what, though. I'll tell you what about Garfield. So me and 2 of my friends went up there because we had a problem with about 4 or 5 guys up in Garfield. But when we came around the corner, we had a problem with about 1,800 people. It didn't look good. The odds was not in our favor, Julie. I'm going to tell you, the odds was not in our favor. We had to get up out of there. Garfield did some good.
I remember that. I was there.
Yeah, I didn't know anybody remembered that. I thought that was I've gone through such efforts to get those kinds of things wiped off my record just in case I want to run for office. They can't put that out there. They can't even put that out there.
Oh, that was great, man. That was good times, though, man. I mean, that's what it was all about. It was
he told me some stories about him. He played off of you a little bit, but he told me that one, and I was like, okay, that sounds like I know Greg. Greg, he had to be dying, but I was like,
nobody else knows about that except for me, him, and the people that were there. Nobody else knows about that.
We keep that.
Hey,
if he's telling
I
you
had a story, and I can relate to that. Yeah.
If he's telling you he was a good hooper, he was. I used to come back and watch those Garfield teams. I mean, their school was so good in basketball that even when we were in college, we would come back and watch the high school games because Garfield was always lit in hoop. They were always, compete for the state championships. And now in Seattle and Clint, you probably know this because, like you said, you follow social media. It's Garfield and it's Rainier Beach. So Garfield is in what we call the traditional Black community in Seattle, the Central District, the CD, where my grandparents, my dad's side of the family had businesses in the 50s and owned houses and property, and now all that's been gentrified and taken away. And then there's the south end of Seattle, which is primarily where I grew up. And so the south end of Seattle has a high school called Rainier Beach. And so every year when Garfield and Rainier Beach play, they call it the Hood Classic. It's the two traditional neighborhoods. and Garfield usually wins, a lot, and then Rainier Beach has their turn right now. Unfortunately, this year, Clint, it's Rainier Beach's year. They didn't beat Garfield three times this year already.
I know. No, it was good. It's so good from where it started from. So here, okay, just to give you guys a heads up, because a lot of people don't know this either. The Hood Classic started with Adonis Clothing. Some two of our homeboys. One went to Rainier Beach. A couple went to Garfield. They started a clothing lineup. It's basically a NCD clothing lineup, and they wanted to start a Hood Classic. They wanted to start, a game just for the Hood. It's because, even though Rainier Beach is like Rainier Beach is like probably it's like South Seattle, right? It's not in the CD, but we all know each other, right? It's just what it was. So we started the game. We had Fred Brown was the honorary coach, and Slick Watts was our honorary coach, and it was just a team of just cats from Garfield that from 1970 all the way up to 1990 at the time, right? And we just played. So that went so well. What they did is that they added Rainier Beach, Franklin. And then we actually tried to get O'Day because they had a lot of good athletes at the time.
That was the private school, Julie.
Right. O'Day was a private school, but a lot of cats we knew went there, so they was, we was cool with them. Yeah. But they were kind of the stepchild though. They weren't like, they weren't like hey, those are our guys, but we kind of look at them sideways when they
were the nice kids that could get into O'Day. They weren't doing
exactly. Not everybody could get into O'Day, and cats was upset about that.
They went to the Catholic school growing up and were good, well-behaved young men.
Yeah. For the most part.
For the most part.
Yeah.
That stuff don't come out like thinking like the public schools.
The Bows and JT and Bollinger and just a whole bunch of cats that we used to ball with back then. And I just think that, to be honest with you, I know the 70s and the Super Dogs, and I just think the 80s were just that was the 80s
time for the 80s
to come out. The 80s were just I think because we had so many people do. You look at that. Greg Lewis, we already knew he went to the Dub. We watching every game he playing. Like, we know, this is our dog. We gonna back him no matter what.
And Julie, let me say this too before he goes too far. When we played Garfield all those times, they beat us, but I always got my 20.
Yeah, exactly. We couldn't stop. We couldn't stop him. We couldn't stop him. It was what it was.
But anyway, I just want to throw that in there.
No, absolutely. Because I'm always throwing my numbers, and he's throwing his numbers, and he's under Clint.
They were all right around the basket. I ain't gonna lie.
But it don't matter how you run as long as you show up on the score sheet.
MJ, you said you was an undersized.
Exactly. I was a
you're
monster
an undersized man. You were undersized,
like Greg.
Did you battle with?
I was a small four, but
he was an athlete though. There's a difference.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. You can't play. Exactly. You cannot play power forward if you're not an athlete in Metro League, which basically the City League. You can't, because there's too many good players. You have to be able to be a dog to play that position. If you're not going to play. It just was what it was. No. He played. So I'll give you an example. When he played against our basketball team, we had guys like Craig Jordan, Greg Gill, Ishmael Butler, aka Butterfly, Jason Jones, Mark Phillips, just Jason Eichinger. Like all these, most of these guys are 6'6" or above, right? Yep. And you got Greg in here still Jordan, getting 20 Gill. On our seat. Yeah, exactly, right? You already know. Those cats, Gill and Eichinger and Jordan were just like they're 6'8", 6'7", 6'6". That was our front line back in '87. It was bananas. Like, we went back to back.
That's in high school. You had 6.
Oh yeah. You can still see And Juju, I'll send you a link. Sometime in the next couple of days, I'll send you a link. Some of our games are still on YouTube. They're still on YouTube.
They're online.
Yeah, you can watch.
I've seen that 86. I've seen that 86 and 87 state championship.
Yeah, you saw that.
Online.
Yeah.
Those been doing this thing in 86.
Yeah,
and then 87 was more of a team. Man. 87 was more of a team effort because, to be honest with you, I think Roosevelt might have been the best team in 87, but you guys got them.
They were so good. They were so good. Man, Poochie and oh yeah, man. I mean, he almost won that game by himself.
Poochie and Butterfly.
Yeah. Well, Poochie's Will Brantley. He was actually.
Will Brantley.
I think he might have been Pac-10. He was first team all Pac-10 at least at Oregon State his senior year.
He was.
And then
he was in the backcourt with Gary Payton. That's what a lot of people don't know. Gary Payton's senior year. Yeah. They were backcourt mates, and they ran the Pac-10.
And Butterfly,
I seen him then. I seen him then.
Yeah. And Butterfly got his name from the rap group Diggable Planets. He was the one named Butterfly.
Planets. Yeah, I told him about that.
Yeah. So
he was our point guard.
Eugene,
he was nice.
MJ.
He was nice.
MJ, I got somebody in the chat. Eugene, my brother Eugene, and me and Greg's brother.
Here he is.
He said, O'Day. You guys were the Duke. You were the Duke of high school.
The Duke of high school, yeah. That's basically kind of it. He said O'Day was the Duke of high school. That was like, we're all the goody good kids. Yeah.
All the goody. Yeah. Okay, so if that's true, then that's what I was just getting ready to picture. I was just getting ready to picture what you said. The good guy. O'Day is the dude. So now I know MJ why MJ talks the way he talks. He said, "What do you mean by that, Julie?" I was like, if I didn't know, I would not think you were the color of the skin that you are.
Nah, it is what it is, man. Like I said, hey, don't get it twisted. I'm not gonna tell any stories I ain't supposed to tell. I'm just letting you know they were in the club with us too. So don't even that, and they weren't wearing suits. So just put it that way. They was sitting there with us, hanging out, having fun, just like we was.
Yep. Well, we were. Hey, Clint, we were talking about the evolution.
So look, he was in there. He was in there.
What happened?
Acting up too. No, I know that. It's loading. Can y'all hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
Tell me about this. So, Greg, I only know Shauna Green, and I remember Diane from UW, right? And I played a program with Shauna Green. She blew that. She blew that out. But since then, and I know you guys, MJ follows the women's sports. It's like, he knows a lot, and you probably do.
Mm-hmm. You're going in and out on me again.
Yeah, you're cutting out a little bit. Hey, let me say something. So, Greg, you remember Joyce Walker, right?
Man, I partnered with Joyce.
Do you remember as a girl, as a female hooper?
I should know better than that. I should know better than to ask you if you know Joyce Walker. That's my bad. I should know better. Joyce Walker. I talk.
He talked to me about Joyce Walker. Do I know her?
Yeah, well, 4-year All-American.
Do you know Joyce Walker?
Remember? She went to LSU. She was a 4-year All-American. She was the second woman to be on the Harlem Globetrotters. She coached, played just about everywhere. I've known Joyce since the 80s. So, and I know most of her family. So, when you talk about women's sports, it's just, I was just blessed to be able to have her to be around as a person to recognize the relativity in competition between women in sports. That's what I think a lot of men are, some of us are Neanderthals when it comes to that. They don't realize that women are just not trying to say that they can do what men do on the court, like they can get in the NBA and all. They're telling you that they can hoop comparative to the people that they're playing against, which is themselves. I have no problem with that. The only issue that I have with certain people is that they won't open their mind to understand that not only are women competing with women, but it also builds a certain kind of confidence to help them go out and help others do things too. That's what we need to get across to people, just on a basic level, right? I think that gets lost with the battle of the sexes and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I just think
it's changed. Don't you think, Brad?
I just think it's about opportunity.
Don't you think you see more women coaching? Yeah, opportunity.
Yeah. Well, I say this for a couple of reasons. So I've coached girls basketball for 20 plus years, and every year that I've coached, my intent was to recruit a female coach to coach with me, and then when I step out, and put my whistle down, for them to take over the programs that I've run, because I think it matters. I think it matters for those young ladies to have role models. I think it matters for those young ladies to have folks that look like them, be the ones that are coaching them and, maintaining those relationships, because it goes beyond just teaching them the game when you're a coach. It's about teaching them about life. It's about them growing and maturing as young women. And I can't, do that from a female to female perspective. I'm a dad, and my job, I protect my kids. I take that job 1000% seriously, and I look out for my girls, and I challenge them and all of those things. But there's certain parts of them being a female that I can't do. So I always felt like women should have the opportunities to coach other women. No disrespect to Gino Ariema and the coach at Texas right now, but I think women should have those jobs. That's just me personally. I also think the opportunity for women to play, has to be protected, because there aren't, I think right now in our current environment, in the current administration, I'm not trying to get political or anything. I just think some of those, Title IX and things like that are under attack. So I think we have to be intentional about making sure.
You went out on my end.
I went out on your end. Can you hear me?
Okay, now I hear you now. Go ahead.
Okay. I was just saying, things like Title IX kind of being under attack now and stuff like that.
Right.
I think we actually have to be intentional about making sure that we keep those opportunities available for young women. They're just as great. I mean, they're just as competitive. They get just as much out of sports as young men do. There's a survey that 80% of female business leaders all played sports. So I think it's just something that we always have to make sure everyone has that opportunity.
You get it. You totally get it. Got it. I couldn't have said it any better than you just said. It totally has helped me in my profession and in my career and in my academics. All of it helped me to be a better leader, how to understand how to team and work with others, accept defeats, and just be resilient in whatever it was that I was doing. My pulling from my background has always afforded me the opportunities to be confident in amongst people that I'm at the table with, because being a champion, as we all are, not everybody has won championships. Not everybody has had to compete and prepare and to work. And then just because you've done all of that, to bring it into the moment, Greg, and perform at that free throw line, taking that last shot for the win, with all the pressure on you, or me getting in the blocks and competing for a championship. Even if I was the one that was supposed to win, it's not guaranteed that you're going to win. In that moment, you got to bring everything, your breathing, know how to block things out, know how to seize the moment. Or I've been in a situation where I wasn't supposed to win and I won. And the feeling and the gratification from all that, the confidence that it gave me, the confidence that it gives you, you pretty much feel like you can do anything in any field.
Yeah, absolutely.
So today, just popped up. I don't know if you've heard of this young lady. I was going to talk about JUJU Watkins, but JUJU Watkins has scored 51 points in her freshman year. Her jersey got put in the Hall of Fame. It was something that no one has done in a single match against Stanford, against a ranked team. It was crazy the night that she did it. This recently, Caleb Blake's freshman from Vanderbilt. This is how quickly we're moving because of men like you who are coaching at the lower ranks. You know what you got? I did rec teams and AAU and whatever it was that you coached, maybe outside of high school and so on and so forth. There he goes. So I was saying that with JUJU Watkins scoring 51, like this is the thing that bothers me. You got Caitlin Clark that broke the record of any women, including Pete Maravich's scoring record, right? So people got to understand is like I know about Lynette Woodard, I know about Pearl Moore. Pearl Moore was D2, Lynette Woodard was in Kansas. You talked about Title IX. We had to the NCAA, AAW to get into the NCAA. That was primarily for men. But if you're going to institute Title IX, then you have to understand, no, we got to be on the level playing field with the men. And so when I stepped my freshman year to college, before me was AIAW. Now I'm into NCAA. So she broke this record, and the fans of hers, which I understand fandom because I'm a fan, and don't want to see a record broken, but records are made to be broken. So Jude, here she is doing what she's doing. She broke a record from a young lady, Tina Hutchison of San Diego State, that I actually played pickup ball against. My roommate was roommate of Cheryl Miller, and one of her teammates played for San Diego State. I'm just giving you a background. So I got to meet her my first year during the holiday when I had a quick short break from Thanksgiving. And this record was 40 years old that she broke. 40 years. Look how quickly this year JUJU's 51 was broken by Michaela with 53 just a week ago, right? See how quickly the gap. But guess what she just did a few minutes ago? The same girl popped up on my phone, scored 55 as a freshman. She just broke her own record.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then I wish MJ said he can't hear me. I wish he could hear what I just said. But hopefully he can. But I'm saying this to say that the other night JUJU plays the number one team in the country, undefeated at home. She scored 38, 11 rebounds, 8 blocks, 5, some crazy numbers that men or women in D1 the NBA hasn't done, or the WNBA. It's sick right now what we're observing, but it's great at the same time. But at the same time, as JUJU is going to be doing something, that's why don't get upset that if she breaks Clark's record, because right behind her, we might see somebody come and do her. It's good for the game. It's good for
it's great for the game.
So
it's great. It's great for the game. I love to see how this is evolving and just how competitive. I think that's the thing that we should be looking at, how competitive these young ladies are. Being competitive is not something that you just use on the court. It's, you got to compete in life. You got to compete for jobs. You got to compete for opportunities, all of those things. And it just shows that, we're all, going to have to fight for whatever we get. And I love seeing it. And that's one of the things I try to instill in the young ladies that I coach is always be competitive, always compete for everything, work hard. You'll get out of it what you put into it. So I love seeing this, and I think women's basketball is just taking off right now.
That.
JUJU is doing amazing things. I think she was created to be a basketball player. I mean, everything that she does. Some people just have it. We were talking about this
everything she does.
Yeah, we just talked about last people like her, LeBron James, Kobe Bryant. People like that, they have that other instinct, that other something that some of us just don't have. And they have that. And that's why they're able to do, like you said, 38, 11, 8, and 7 or something like that was her stat line. And no one else has done that before because she just has that it factor. She has, and yes, she's worked hard. She's put in the work. She's honed all of her skills and her skill sets and all those things, but she has that it factor, and she's going to carry a lot of juice. And like you said too, records are made to be broken. When I left the University of Washington, I had, I want to say 23 running back records. I think I have 1 or 2 left. That's about it. Corey Dillon came on the scene and broke most of them. and Napoleon Kaufman broke a few, and Myles Gaskin. And now I'm down. The only one I still have left that I know of, maybe I have two, but the only one I have that I know of is I had 16 straight 100-yard games in a row. I think the closest anyone's ever come to that is like 8 or 9. So that one might be safe for a little while longer, but records are made to be broken.
That's pretty safe.
Yeah,
they're just made to be broken. I feel that Greg, like, I set a record in 81 in 100 meters, and pretty much it lasted a decade or so, maybe more. And the one that broke it was Jennifer Tarboss. She runs track, and she was in 2012. She got a gold medal as an alternate. Well, not an alternate. It's like you really have like 6 runners on the relay in the Olympics, and they run the heats, and then you choose the final 4 in the final. But they get a medal. And I said, and we knew. I said, whoever going to break my record, they're going to be an Olympian, because I think I ran 11.7. They change it all the time. It's when aided, and 11.6 is Olympic qualifying time. And I just they tell me all the time, like, Jude, like, I come from an area, it's more inner city, Oakland, Spain. Over there, they recruit out of that area more so than they did from me on the peninsula. I was an anomaly and kind of trained things that these kids have. We were just natural at it. Yeah. We just played against you guys, the guys. We played against the boys, and that's what made us who we are. These kids, Juju up there with Phil Handy, getting reps in Kyrie or DeMar DeRozan. She did something the other night, and DeMar saw the video of, she had London Jones in front of her, and I've been trying to think, like, how to get that, because she's 6'2", London's 5'4". How she garner? I said, when a little girl is under you and you're tall, you got pivots, you got jabs, and she did all of those things. But I was like, hey, London need to get back, because she tried to use the shoulder bump. Last second half, she did this thing that DeMar taught her. I saw it. She went in a circle and then back, and it worked. And she reached and she shot it. She went to like London didn't mess with her no more. You see how quickly she picked up. I saw the video. I said, you're doing what DeMar did. Because that's how me and Dave, we will watch the game together, and he's saying what I'm saying. He's a student, and he'll be saying, I said, yeah, we need to do the this is a read and react offense. This is a transition. Oh, that's a triangle, and this is a this and a that. Like, that's how. And you as a coach probably see all these things too. Yeah. So I'm looking at it from a whole different perspective and appreciating why I feel that she is the number 1 draft pick, going to be who she's going to be in the future. And I'm glad that I'm a part of witnessing the moment. That's it. Like, I saw Cheryl, like, she's in my class. Like, what makes her know? I said, dude, first of all, 6'3", nobody 6'3" did that. That's a generational talent.
Absolutely.
I mean, look, when you look at her, you be like, oh, she don't look the same as a Juju. But in that era, it was sick. It was like, somebody stop her.
No. The player who probably to me comes the closest to what Juju's doing as an all-around player is probably Maya Moore.
Who?
Did you say that too?
Maya Moore.
Yes. There you go. We're thinking the same way. I mean, they look a lot.
I didn't see it at first. I didn't like that. I didn't like that comparison at first. And then I started going back and I said, oh, I see it now. Yeah. Maya was all over the place like that. Yeah. She was. But it's still different, and Juju got her thing going on. But it doesn't matter, because the closest thing that I could say that is Maya's a little taller. But I was like, I see what everybody's talking about now.
Yeah. I just think they both could score at all 3 levels. They both play defense at a high level, and they're both really athletic, and they're both tenacious. So from those perspectives, yeah, Juju's a little more savvy, crafty, you know, kind of stuff, where Maya might be a little more athletic,
shifty,
but
and
but there's definitely enough similarities, you know, just in some of those things. So I love her game. I wish Maya all the best. I wish she was still playing. I really enjoyed her playing, but you know, I've been watching this women's basketball game for a long time. Clint had mentioned Joyce Walker when he was on, and you know, Joyce used to come down to the intramural athletics building, which is at the University of Washington, where just the students go hoop and stuff like that. And she used to be hooping with the dudes, and she would bust us. She would tear us up every time. You couldn't stop Joyce. Joyce would and her mid range, she never ever missed. I mean, to this day. But then I had the pleasure of, and like he said, she was a globetrotter. She was the leading scorer in LSU women's basketball history. So, but I had the pleasure of her coaching my oldest daughter, and then her coaching my youngest daughter. So at Garfield High School, where she went, we've been talking about.
Wow.
So yeah, a lot of full circle moments in all of that.
And I hope you heard what you just said. There's a lot of, that's the word that me and AJ linked up, because we kept having full circle moments all the way from you know, you and all the guys and what he did and the different people he would bring up and I would bring up, and then I was like, you know what, I was encouraged. I was like, you know what, I keep having full circle moments with people that that y'all, you know, talk about and that you know, but that I actually know. And it's like, well, how do you, I mean, it's just, I don't know how to explain it. You kind of said it best, where like for me, like with like UCLA, I had the players on. I was in the San Fernando Valley, and then I knew the players from UCLA. I knew players later from USC, but then there was another college, Long Beach, that I'm going to probably bring up, and we all just kind of knew each other, because sometimes in the summer you eventually like would play against each other, or you would see, or you just running each other, you know, over time, and got a chance, like for WNBA, I got a chance to, before the inaugural season, I knew Nikki McCrimmon, who played with Cheryl Miller. Cheryl was her coach. Played with Lisa Leslie and Tina Thompson. And Lisa just came off the Olympics, so we were like, we got to get Lisa ready. We got to get ready for the WNBA. And then, you know, you had tryouts, but you also had the players that they had selected. And so we would meet up in the USC women's gym. That's on Love and Basketball. That was actually the women's gym. That was another thing we used to have all the time. Like, here's the women's gym, and then there's the men's gym, and then the sports arena you play, and we didn't have equal facilities and all this kind of stuff. So that gym in there, we were battling with them. I was on the court with them before they became, you know, in the league. So being able to say that, and to say like, hey, yeah, so-and-so is this good or that good. But back in the day, you would only have an anomaly of 1 or 2 or 3, maybe at the most 2, 3 on the team. Now it's like 4, 5, 6. Look at South Carolina, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 girls, you know, that can start over here, but don't start. I'm like, where are these chicks coming from? I couldn't even find a girl to dribble a basketball with back in the day, you know, knocking on the door. Because when you play with, Dora used to do it to me from UCLA. She'd come to my dorm in college, trying to get me to play with her. And I'm like, who is this kid? This high school kid coming to my dorm. I'm like, okay, I'll go out there. But next year, UCLA hooping single scoring record for 42. And I'm like, you know what? I'm part of that. You know.
Yeah. I have my granddaughters. Look, my granddaughters are working with a trainer already.
About this conversation, you better work those grandgirls. You better. I'm not playing.
I'm old. I'm old now and breaking. I'm old and breaking down. But I have a trainer that's young that works with both of them. And so they're getting trained. They're going to training now. Okay. So they're gonna be ready. You like Gino. You're gonna be like Gino. Just you gonna be on the side. You just stand there and do the X's and O's. But like me trying to get out and show you and demonstrate. Yeah, exactly. I did my part with my daughter. So now we got the real people training them.
You might get, and you know what? It's so funny because your DA gonna pass down, and you're gonna pass all the way down. It's gonna go through the girls, and maybe just one of these babies actually gets some, because they get a team in Portland now.
Yeah.
They get a team in Portland. We
They-
get in
they'll be
the Cleveland Rockers the Cleveland might come back. Oh, we got the Bay Area, we got the Valkyries, the Women Warriors.
Yep.
So they're starting to buy. I can see you guys are really getting into it. Everybody's coming back. We're really starting to be able to expand the roster, and the team.
Yep. We need to get
the money's getting better.
Yeah, we need to get more of these ladies playing. We need more teams for sure.
Yeah.
Because the old heads don't want to leave, and so that means there ain't no space open for these new folks.
They don't want to leave.
The old heads ain't leaving.
2 more years.
I mean,
They got 2 more years. They're not playing. They got 2 more years. They're out.
Right. Well,
If they can't keep up, you're not gonna be able to go guard.
No.
Guard you? No, you're not.
Yeah, 2 more years.
They don't want to leave, Greg.
Yeah,
But
my nurses. Yeah, so my nurse is pinging. My nurse is jabbing me because I didn't tell you this, but I had spine surgery last week, and so I'm recovering from spinal surgery, and I'm not supposed to be sitting for too long. So my nurse is jabbing me, saying it's time for me to get up and start walking around.
Too long. Okay.
Yeah. But I
It's
love
perfect
this.
time. It's a perfect time to wrap it up. I got a game. I appreciate you so much
Please
for
have
coming
me
on
back.
here. We're gonna have more conversation. We're getting ready to play the UW Huskies.
Yep.
I'll have you back because let me tell you why I need you back, because you watch hoop and we got March Madness coming up. Okay.
Oh yeah, let's do it. Let's
All
do
right.
it. Thanks for having me
Thank
on,
you
JUJU.
so much.
All
Thank
right,
you
good
so
talking
much.
to you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Peace. Bye, guys. All right. I hope you enjoyed this conversation. Those of you who are this your first time, hit that subscribe button for me. Hit that like button. I'm trying to get in the algorithm. I gotta fix my screen. I can see that I'm blurry for you guys, and I apologize for that. But technology is crazy. Thanks to it for hanging. I'm gonna go out and come back in on my channel that I set up for the UW game. Come with me. Come travel along with me. USC is playing University of Washington. They're probably warming up right now, and I'll be back shortly in about 10 minutes. Go to what are they playing on? What channel are they playing on, guys? Come back to my YouTube and you'll find out. Hit that subscribe, hit that like. See you in a minute. Thank you for joining me. Peace.